You may not say, well, I can't see any blessings. Can I tell you that if you will become a son or a daughter of God and walk with Him and talk with Him and love Him, that you'll see blessings that you missed? You'll see blessings in your life that you didn't even think was a blessing. But it is. You know, my grandmother told a story one time whenever she was a little girl. My great-grandfather owned most all the land that was on 92 over there, from probably Woodstock Road on up to probably nearly all the way over to Robin Lane. All that was owned by Smiths and Tysons. That was all Smith-Tysonville. And yeah, all them Smiths was my folks back then. But they were John. But they were a big family, and they owned most all that farm over there. Big, big place. 300 or 400 acres like back in them woods back in there. The granddaddy was planting a crop over there one time. My grandmother, she had got over there as a young girl. She was planting. He was plowing or whatever it was doing back in those days. And she was planting. And he wasn't watching her, but she had planted all the corn. She had planted just fields and fields and fields of corn out through there. And when the stuff started sprouting up, her daddy, he kind of got upset because he said, you've planted it too far apart. He said, you haven't planted enough corn. You've planted this stuff way too far apart. You know, she's just a young teenage girl dropping corn in the ground. And she was just doing what she thought was right. She thought she was right. He thought she was doing something that was right. But when the corn came out of the ground, the distance of the corn was all wrong. And he was upset because he said the crop is not going to make a harvest that it should make. Lo and behold, the providence of God works in all ways. It was one of the worst years of rainfall that they'd ever had that year. There was practically no rain. No rain. My great-granddaddy was the only farmer in that area that had a corn crop. Because my grandmother had planted them far enough apart that the soil, enough moisture in the soil, was able to get the corn up to its full height. And everybody else's corn burned up right there. You see what my great-granddaddy looked at as something that went wrong, and my grandmother didn't know any better, but God Himself was blessing that home even through a mistake. Can I tell you, there's a lot of y'all that's had some mistakes happen in your house, and you blew up. I've done it. Blew up, blew a fuse, slung a frying pan or two, cussed a little bit maybe back in the day before we became all sanctified. But yet, if you look back on all of that, and you can see how there was a blessing of God in the middle of all that. You know, I know there's been people here that's been, some of you went to jail. And can I tell you, you may say, well, that's easy for you to say, Bruce, you've never been there. And yeah, I guess it is easy for me to say. But can I tell you that somehow or another, that was a blessing in your life?
That's right.
Yeah. Can I tell you that? You might not be alive today if that hadn't happened.
Amen.
We're all growing. You know, we go around. You know the drill, don't you? You know the drill. That's how come I don't get too upset. You know, I've had people that have come to me and talked to me about people that used to come here that didn't come here anymore. And you know, they're kind of upset because they don't show their face anymore. And you know, it doesn't upset me because I realize that God is doing something in their life. Even right now, He's doing something. He really is. They know where to turn when they get in trouble. They know where to turn. And for the grace of God, that may be you or me right there. And has been at times. Amen? We've all done it. We've all gotten discouraged. We've all turned our back on Him at one time or another and distanced ourselves a little bit and said, I don't know. You know, when Daddy would get after me, I didn't exactly want to go hang out with him. I distanced myself from Big John Bleaks. But yet there was no doubt in my mind that I knew that that man loved me with all of his heart and would have given his life for me any day. Can I tell you that there is a God in heaven that loves you? He loves you. I know that one of these days He's coming back and there's going to be a glad reunion day. That's one of the reasons why I just love to go stroll through graveyards. Because I look at all them old tombstones of some of them old saints and I say, you're coming out of there one day. You're coming out of there one day. That grave ain't going to hold you down. They can put flyers on it. They can make a pretty tombstone. They can decorate it. They can do all they want to, but death will not hold you there. One of these days, that body's coming out as a resurrected body. Amen? It's going to happen one of these days. He says that he spent all of his living. And when he had spent all he had, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed the swine. Listen, there's a blessing right here. He went and joined himself to a man and sent him in the fields to feed the swine. That was a blessing right there. He got a job, but it was a blessing that he spent all that he had because he didn't have a right relationship with his father. And so he winds up penniless. He winds up broke. And he winds up joining himself. Listen, God sent a man. God sent a man to give this boy a job. God had some livestock out in the field that this old boy was going to go feed. God gave him a job. Amen? You may not like the job you got right now, but it may be God that has given you that job. Amen? It says that, and he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat. And no man gave unto him. He was down to eating the husk with the swine. And when he came to himself, you see, God has to get us down in the pig pen once in a while.
That's right.
I mean, we have to. It's amazing to me. We're some of the hardest-headed people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we don't more get our head out of the salt till we stick it right back in there again. We go on our emotions, we go on our feelings, we go to, and I just can't make it without them. How many people do we know of that keep going back into abusive relationships? Because they just feel like they just can't make it without them. We all know folks like that. We all know folks exactly like that. We really do. Why? Why? We don't know why. How many times do people come to my house and they'll say, why am I doing this? And they'll look at me like I'm supposed to tell them. I had a guy come to me here a couple of years ago, come in my office, slung the door open, midnight, squalling, big crocodile, tears in the blood. Why did I go out and have an affair? I'm like, I don't know. Why? Why? I mean, I saw her. She wasn't that good looking. She was a walrus. I don't know why. You got a beautiful wife at home. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why do people do what they do? I don't know. Why do some of you keep going back to the pig pen? I don't know. All I know is that some of you going, same old place. And hopefully you're going to come to yourself one of these days. Remember the 14, the light bulb would go on? So the old boy comes to himself. And he says, hey, you know what? I go back to my father's house. Man, the people that's working for my father, his servants, are doing it better than I'm doing. I'll go back and I'll become a servant to him. At least I know I'll be taken care of. And so he goes back, not as a son in his mind, but he goes back as a servant. A lot of you have tried to go back to God as a servant. You went out and you've done some things that you shouldn't have done, and now you feel like you've got to work your way back to God. You don't know how you're going to do it, but you're doing it.
Somehow, you don't know how you're going to do it, but somehow or another you feel like you've got to work your way back to God.